So I wanted to chime in and say that I have introduced a new tool of testing for this cycle. So I am using the Inito Fertility Tracker. It took a while for me to decide if I wanted to use it, but I've seen some great reviews on it, and so I wanted to give it a shot. So this monitor is designed to fit whatever phone model you have, and there's like a little clip that clips onto it, and then with that clip you have these test strips, and those test strips are what you use to dip your first morning urine in, and then you place it in the reader, and then that reader gets your results. So the 4 hormones that it's testing is your estrogen level, your PDG, which is like a urine metabolite of progesterone, and then it's testing your follicle stimulating hormone, which triggers your follicles to grow, and then your LH, which is what triggers, which elevates when it's almost time for you to ovulate. And so I started testing in the middle of my cycle because I was having a medicated cycle, and that medicated cycle turned into a natural cycle because I grew too many follicles. So my estrogen levels reflect that, just so you know, in the following clip. So yeah. All right, so let's get into this Inito chart. This was my first month doing the Inito tracking, and I started after my medicated cycle was canceled due to too many follicles. So as you can see, my estrogen is starting off really high because of all of the meds that I took during that cycle. My PDG was starting at 2.85, FSH 0.21, and then LH at the very bottom, 0.09. I started tracking every morning with my first morning urine. I am a night nurse, so what I will say is that if you are a night nurse, I noticed that I got better results when I tested my Inito, not when I got home as my first morning urine, but it tested better when I would go to sleep and then wake up and then use that first urine as my first morning urine. So my estrogen did trace down, and my progesterone was kind of like up and down, but very little variation. My LH and my FSH were pretty flat for the most part at the beginning of me testing. And so as you can see, I had a lot of peaks and valleys with my estrogen. I really feel like the few tests that I did try to do, like first morning urine with my night shift schedule, it caused like some false readings, which is why you see that low estrogen and super high, because I think my estrogen was pretty high throughout the entire time. I was actually having some dizzy spells and whatnot. So as you can see, on February 13th, I got my peak. I did have some natural feelings of ovulation, so I took a over-the-counter ovulation test as well, and the test line was darker than the control. And then on February 14th, I got a high fertility. My PDG had already rose to 8.54, and my LH went up to 14.25, with my estrogen also at 547.17. That next day, my progesterone went up slightly. My LH went down, which let me know that I did, in fact, pass my peak of my LH cycle. So the next one, on the 15th, it went up to like 10 point something. Then my PDG went up to 27.58 afterwards, which is when it confirmed my ovulation. So February 16th, I was 2 days post ovulation. All of my hormones were pretty much registering that. I have since then had some post ovulation signs as far as my night sweats. But yeah, so that is how I've been. I have not tested with the Inito since I confirmed ovulation. I just didn't want to worry myself about my estrogen levels or my progesterone levels. I'm going to kind of just ride the wave, and I will probably test around 12 days post ovulation.